Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I feel like the niggas that don't allow their like this art form to mature into something as they mature into something else, you wasn't really cut from this like that, no way.
Right.
Like I'm gonna put more music out, and it'll look however it's gonna look, and it'll be for whatever purpose it is. But like I don't know, bro. I just think it's like corny when niggas be like, "Oh yeah, I quit doing music," or it's like blah blah blah, and it's like, if you, let me say this, you could quit doing music because hip hop is more than doing music for sure, and that's a lot of the things that you talked about. But it's like to absolve yourself from like this thing that helped raise you and gave you your swag and helped create your persona, and just be like, oh, I didn't get rich, so I'm gonna absolve myself from this thing, and it's something that I used to do, and I don't tell people about it, and, you know, like that's corny as fuck, you know?
And I mean, I think if I'm in rapper mode or in rap mind, and if in my creative artistic space, like if I'm like writing in that mode, then I do agree with that, you know, because I think that that's also part of the thing with rapping is that it's a competition, it's a competitive thing, and I think not even just rapping, but hip hop.
And that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like you can be like, yo, I'm not like, because music is a time consuming thing. Like
100%.
Everybody who makes music knows like writing it, producing it, rehearsing it, putting it out, like that's like very time consuming. So I'm not necessarily mad at somebody who's 30 plus and is like, yo, I don't have the time and resources to do that. I am, however, feel like you shouldn't absolve yourself from hip hop. Like niggas start dressing different. Niggas start like listening to different music and shit, and like not doing shit and looking at shit like, oh, I don't fuck with that no more. And it's like, bro, and I think that's sometimes this thing raise you or not? You know?
I think sometimes people feel I think this goes back sort of to the competition thing, where there's some people who get involved with like sports competition and they do it to a certain point, and when they don't maybe be able to go to D1 or be able to go to D2, or maybe they go to D1 and D2 but they can't make it into the league. Sometimes the best way for them to mentally cope with that is to just remove themselves from it all the way and go, you know, sell cars. You know, you think certain people, for them, if they can't do it at the highest level and they can't do it at all, you know. Like it's sort of like that with like star athletes, where if for 12 years they the best player on the team, they can't go to be the 7th or 8th person on the team. They just out, they just done. It's not gonna work for them like that. And but to get back to what I was saying about the hip hop, I think hip hop is such a competitive culturally, it's such a competitive thing that if you do rap, or if when you in the mind state of rapping or in the mind state of even writing music, you know, I think certain R&B singers have the same sort of mindset too. Like if somebody quit, then you you wasn't never like this anyways, you know, because part of it is taking the losses. You know, can you take 20 losses to get to one win? You know, if you can't take the 20 losses to get to the one win, then you wasn't never really in the same fight, you know. And I think that one of the other problems that happens is that we sort of grew up at a time where people viewed hip hop, especially because it was a younger genre of music, but people viewed hip hop similar to how they viewed sports.
Sports shit.
Yeah, and too, like if you don't make it to the NBA by the time, like if you don't go to D1, D2 college after high school, then it ain't no point of you playing basketball. You know, like you can't, like, you can play basketball at the rec league, but that's the end of where your dreams can go. Now, with some people who don't accept that and they figure it's another route out, and then they do break through to another level. Maybe they got to play junior college for a year or two, then they get to go to D1. Like, as some people, that's taking the 20 losses to get to the one win. But for some people in hip hop, like if you didn't make it by the time you were from 18 to 23, if you ain't have certain things happen, then at 24 you was done. And then even on the reverse, let's say from 18 to 23, you check the boxes where you recorded a project, you recorded music, you made some music video, people started knowing you was making music, you did a performance, you did an event, so now you can see an upward trajectory. If from 23 to 28, you not getting drafted in the league, and you not going to the NBA, or you don't get to the G League, like everybody not finna go overseas, you know. And so from 23 to 28, if you get in that same loop where you just putting out music videos, you just putting out projects, you putting out singles, but you ain't never broke through whatever the ceiling is, where maybe you got some regional buzz, and maybe you got a few network connections in different places, and maybe you done even been in proximity to somebody who done took it to another place, but you ain't got there yet. For some people, once they get to like 28, 29, if they ain't got to it, they got to put it to the side, and society sort of tell them that you're supposed to put it to the side.
100%.
With like how you do in sports. My fault, I'm just gonna say this last thing and then give it to you. But for certain people, view it as the same way you would view like being a lawyer or becoming a doctor, where from 18 to 24, 25, if somebody is going to law school, somebody taking a bar exam, somebody getting a master's, nobody ever looking at them and being like, damn, you 26, you ain't the head of surgery, you know, at the
You're not a millionaire yet?
Yeah, you're not supposed. Yeah, you know, nobody thinking that. Like, you tell them that you just got the degrees, that you just put in the work, you just got the education, and that's enough. You celebrate it for that. You know, it's a certificate that say like you specialize in this. Where if you do that with music, or if you do that with certain artistic things, you don't get looked at the same way. And so a lot of times people don't get that acceptance, or people don't get that validation, and not having that validation make them where they like, it's like a shame. They don't even want to be connected to it no more. Whereas you're not looking at no lawyer. You don't want, even if you in the biggest case of your life, you don't want the 30-year-old lawyer that's like, to come in that was like a big star prodigy or whatever. Like, you want the 50-year-old dude to come in that done been through and seen a couple different things. And yeah, maybe he was a star prodigy in at 25, 26 he had, but you want that guy. And I think that when you view art like that, when you view creating like that, then you don't get to a point where just because you ain't got a record label or got a record deal and got a #1 album and got 5 Grammys, by the time you 35, it don't mean that it's all for naught and you should just never do this no more. You view it like this is you getting your feet wet, getting your education, learning how these things go. And when you 45, imagine where you would be at once you done experienced these things. But go ahead.
Yeah, bro. Like, for me.